WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's SELHURST. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, hello people and welcome back to TACT-EAGLE, the weekly show where we dive into the upcoming Palace game to see how we could beat them. And this week it is against West Ham, our first home game of the season. JC, how are you?
I'm good. I need a trim.
You know what? Me too.
So next week we'll be looking fresh.
I need to do the beard as well.
Oh, I need to do the beard as well, man. I'm looking on it. I just need a yellow. I need a little hat.
Apparently, right? I never knew this, but apparently people's beards like have a length. So like when it goes like really like weird and like wispy like that, apparently that's because like you're not really meant to grow it past there.
I think that's shit, mate.
That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. But yeah, going to this game at the weekend, how are you feeling?
I'm excited to be back at Selhurst. Granted, it was a bit of a disappointing result against Brentford, but you know you can't really take the first game into account.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Yeah, you can't really take the first game into account. Like most teams are still getting going. Obviously, we had a good pre-season. West Ham is a team we actually played in pre-season, and without all of our main hitters, we seemed to beat them, I wouldn't say pretty convincingly, but the scoreline was convincing, but the game wasn't. But we've played them before. We've beat West Ham themselves at Selhurst a few times. It's always a good game at SELHURST Park, quite a high-scoring game. And I do think that we've got a half-decent record against Lopetegui, if I do remember myself, when he was at Wolves.
Yeah, I think so, because obviously we did beat Wolves last season. To be honest, we don't get Wolves is another team that we always seem to do quite well against.
Yeah.
No, I can only remember losing like once, I think, to Wolves.
I remember losing twice to Wolves, but I remember one was in the lockdown and the other one I watched on the TV. But
so one was probably Nuno then. Well, at least one was Nuno then.
Yeah, at least one was Nuno.
Yeah. And
what about you, mate? You excited to be back at Selhurst again on the weekend?
Well, actually, I'm not going to be there because I'm busy. Yeah, I know. I've got a long-standing thing that I'm doing on Saturday, and I can't move it. So, unfortunately, I can't go. So it is a bit gutting. So my first home game is actually going to be. Wait, let me check. What's the one after that? Leicester at home. So I'm sorry, everyone. You won't see my beautiful face on the fan cams. But I might
send in your own fan cam like you did on the other game.
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll even try and send my nephew down there. He will take my ticket, so hopefully you'll get one from him. But anyways, just let's have a look at the opening comments from Tom. Thank you for watching, Tom. Wondering where our points are coming from. These players don't fill me with optimism. Why'd you say that? I think we got some good players. I think they looked maybe a little bit shaky in the first game, but I mean, I feel like that's quite a common thing in a lot of first games. In some of the games I watched like the weekend as well, I feel like some players just maybe a bit off the pace a little bit.
Yeah, I think if some of those tricks and flicks come off a little bit, then we're looking like a very good team all of a sudden. Really, like if you take out, well, obviously it's very easy to say this in hindsight, but it is a very Palace thing. If you take out the final ball when going forwards, we actually played very well. It's just the fact that when, for example, when Kamada was through, he could have played a nice, easy pass to Mateta, but he overhit the hell out of it. Eze was making the wrong decisions and shooting when he should have passed and passed when he should have shot. So it's just getting back into the swing of things again. And, remember when Mitchell went to England, he came back and he had a rut of like a year before he actually started playing well again. So we're probably going to see that for a little while with Mark and Eze, especially with them both getting time at England, which historically seemed to ruin your player for a little while. But then also the fact they've got so much interest, their heads probably all over the place at the moment. So they'll probably kick on once the transfer window's closed.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about the players who who did, in my opinion, probably look the ropiest. They've all been like on international duty, and I think even if you go to, that's a better idea. Let's just sit further back. I think if you're going to a tournament, I think that still disrupts with your pre-season, because like you think even like Henderson, who didn't play a minute for England, and Wharton, like they came. I mean, I'm not saying they were bad, but they came back. They would have had a holiday, so therefore less pre-season with the team, and so on and so forth. And then you got to think that's Henderson, that's Gay, that's Anderson, Wharton, that's Chris Richards with the US, that's Munoz with Colombia, Lerma as well.
JP at the Olympics.
Yep, JP at the Olympics. Eze. I don't know if Kamada played in it. Actually, I think
there was an Asia Cup literally the first week after the season finished. So he's had a proper holiday.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but even still, like he's maybe had to take a later holiday than normal.
And also, he didn't sign for us the second the window opened, did he? So he was still a month and a bit in to the window.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think they'll hit the ground running soon. I think once players like Kamada, like you said, like his positioning off the ball, I thought was good. Maybe on the ball, I thought he was maybe a little bit sloppy, but
I think if you talk about Kamada specifically, I think that the Brentford game was a very important game for him, because just same way how I think that the Brighton game was very important for Adam Wharton, because Wharton made a mistake and we conceded the goal straight away. And I think that Kamada, I guess, dropping a subpar performance compared to what he was doing in pre-season, I think that's going to give him a little wake-up call, just same way as it happened with Wharton. So I've got no worries at the moment with this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Right, going through more of the comments. Rich saying, if we need a trim, what does Nicky need?
Help.
Miracle.
Carney.
We'll be seeing you at Carney, Nicky. Man like Will, big up Will, and big up for the excellent vlogs you did in the US pre-season. Thank you for tuning in. Monty, old man undone, North London United.
Okay.
Oh, I think, is that about Vardy and beating Spurs, I'm guessing.
That celebration was so sick. Premier League 1, you 0. That was funny.
That is funny. That is funny. Kevin, big up Kevin. Just rusty, unlucky, and crap ref. Yeah, I agree. He admitted pretty much straight after the game that he made a mistake, which hopefully he learns from that, but we'll see. Big up Arthur. Thank you for tuning in. Somerville be on the bench. Hope so. Villa all over you. I think we're not West Ham fans. We're Palace fans. Leeds United, best team in England. Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe for like one season in the 70s.
Leeds are falling apart again.
Have you got any players left? I think Somerville's left. Rutter's left.
Yeah. Gray's gone. Archie Gray. Oh,
yeah. Archie Gray's gone. And you got Farker as your manager.
Oh, yeah, he's fucking shit.
Kamada said in his interview that he needs to do better. Compose yourself. That was a good pun. That was a good pun. Kamada said in his interview that he needs to do better. Yeah. Well, that's good that he's saying that as well. He recognises it. Let's say I think he's a bit rusty and obviously adjusting to a new team. Bottled it again. Yeah, they did. That's my point. Many mistakes rather than being outplayed. So I think that will get ironed out pretty soon. I did see a tweet on Twitter that said in Glasner's 4 seasons, I think, at Wolfsburg and Frankfurt, I think his first wins on average didn't come till like the 4th or 5th game, and then they went on ridiculous runs after that. So could we be seeing that? I don't know.
Well, the season he finished 4th with Wolfsburg, he didn't get a win until game week 7.
Game week 7? Wow.
Pretty mad.
I mean, how truly mad is that end of that extra 27 games after that in the Bundesliga?
Mental business.
Vardy buzzing for Saturday. I wish I could say that, but I'm not going to be there. Okay.
We will not be there.
So I guess we were talking a lot about kind of retrospectively about the game on Sunday, but I think we needed to because it's going to be very relevant for this game. Obviously, it's the only game so far this season, so it makes sense too. Anyways, next up, we'll have our predicted 11. Come on, JC, what have you got for us?
So, I have cooked today.
Nice.
Basically, I've gone with the same team I wanted last week. I'm not going to lie to you. Mm-hmm. And I think that after seeing what happened against Brentford, I feel like that sort of further hits home the point in certain players should be playing and certain players shouldn't be playing. So, in goal, we've got Dean Henderson with Mitchell, Gay, Anderson. And here is my first talking point.
Okay.
I think Richards has to be dropped, so which is why he's on the bench. And I will say this now before anyone says anything. I don't mind Riyad or Klein here. Either or, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
That may be controversial, but I don't really mind because Klein did really well, and I feel like Richards really struggled with pace. And also Richard had a little time last season where it took him a good few games to get into the rhythm of things again. Yeah. But if we're planning on having a good season this year, we can't, I guess, bank on our centre-back having 5 ropey games and then starts playing well. We need to sort of hit the ground running if we want to have a good season this year. So Riyad, untried, but looked very good in pre-season. Played for, which one was it? Real
Betis.
Real Betis last year. You know, young defender, good centre-back. He's actually pretty fast as well. We saw it. He chased down Mikel Antonio in pre-season, which is ironically a West Ham player. But obviously we know what we get with Klein, and he actually did pretty well at the end of last season with Munoz as the right wing-back. I've gone with starting Lerma because I think when Lerma came on for Hughes, it was such a huge boost to our midfield. Our team looked so much better when he came on. Nothing against Hughes whatsoever. I think that he just gasses out way too early. I would say that maybe potentially for me, it'll be a better idea to start Lerma and then bring on Hughes later.
Yeah.
But that's just my preference because I feel like Hughes has got the killer pass that Lerma doesn't have. But with how we were getting ripped open by Brentford last week, I feel like with the extra pace, the extra energy, the extra defensive awareness, I think that Lerma will probably be a better suit here. Mm-hmm. Partnered up with Adam Wharton, with Kamada on the right, Eze on the left, and I think with another week, I think Mateta could probably do another half 60 minutes in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I'd ask you is, do you agree with that team that I've selected, and which one would you rather have, Riyad or Klein?
I do agree with that. I think Richards should be dropped. I'm going to die on the hill of I think he's significantly better
on the left.
In that left centre back than the right centre back. And the reason why I think that is because I feel like a lot of teams, they'll have players like on that sort of like inside kind of channel, and they'll basically make him move inside. And if he's defending that kind of inward run, he's on his right foot. Whereas on the other side, he's on his left foot, and I feel like he's significantly weaker in defending that. Mm-hmm. And also, I think in attacking sense, because I think Glasner wants that right centre-back to push more forward than the left centre-back. I don't think he offers a lot going forward. So yeah, I agree. With that in mind, I think it's just a question of, do I want to go for someone who I know can deliver under Glasner, or do I go for someone who's a bit unknown but could be better? I'll go for Riyadh. I feel like he seems quick. He seems good in the air as well, which I think is going to be very crucial for this game, which is something that maybe Klein isn't as good at.
And also, he did all right. He did very well against Antonio, against these guys in preseason. So,
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
If you think, granted, I keep saying it, you can't take preseason and say that's how it's going to be, but players in preseason they're not gonna go easy just because preseason. And I think that Riyadh handled himself very well. But with the rest of the team, do you agree with the Lerma change for Hughes?
Yeah, I agree. I think if Decore can't play, then it'll be Lerma. I think Lerma also gives that pace. We got torn apart in transition against Brentford, and we just need a bit more pace in that midfield.
Yeah, and the only injury for Crystal Palace is Francis still, but he is projected to return back on the 14th of next month, and Decore is fully fit apparently. But
Cool.
I don't think we're going to play him anytime soon.
And actually, on Rich has raised another good point of why Lerma's better than Hughes. I think Lerma's a lot better in the air than Hughes.
Oh, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but he can out jump a lot of tall players.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Moving on to West Ham, they have got a few new players, and I do think that West Ham are going to give some of them their debuts because they did get quite a few minutes against Aston Villa in their last game. Mm-hmm. So in goal, I've gone with Areola. On the left, I've gone with Emerson, Kilman, and Todibo to get his first start, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka getting his first start as a Hammer. I wish he came back, but it's one of them situations where I don't think you really need him.
Yeah, I think
he doesn't fit the wing back role. That's why he didn't. That's why he didn't really thrive at Man United, because if he was a wing back, he would have still been there probably. But he will do well in this system because a fullback, and he'll go back to doing what he does best, and that's just defending. In the midfield, I've gone with Souček, Rodriguez, and Paquetá in the 10 position. Talk is that Alvarez is back, but he'll most likely start on the bench. So he'll probably come on for Rodriguez later on in the game. With a front three of Kudus, Bowen, and I think Füllkrug will get his start because by looking at West Ham Twitter, Antonio had a stinker. But
I guess we'll talk about it in the relevant bits. But yeah, that sounds pretty similar to what I think. I think Rodriguez will keep his place. I think that's pretty fair.
But we have to remember that they've got very good players on the bench. Like I said, they've got Alvarez, Antonio, Ings, Kufal, Mavropanos, Ward-Prowse, and Somerville.
Oh yeah. So they've definitely bulked out in their depth.
They've done similar to what we've done, but they've actually improved their starting 11 as well as their squad depth, where we've only improved our squad depth really.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, who's going first this week? I guess I went first last week.
Yeah, so let's talk about how West Ham attack. And actually, it's something that me and Dan disagree on a little bit. So, I thought I'd start this off with a statement that I actually said to Dan. Lopetegui is a very new manager, and he hasn't fully got his ideas across yet. So, we can take David Moyes out of West Ham. But you can't take the Moisey play style out of West Ham that quickly. And I think that is a perfect segue to how West Ham still attack sometimes. They still do what they have been doing for the last few years. And granted, it's not what Lopetegui wants, but it's a football style that works for the players they have. Let's get into it. So, this is a very familiar sight if you are a West Ham fan. You will see a lot of players up front. You'll see Souček moving from a DM position to pressing the back line. Their forward line, I'll probably use Antonio here because we're more used to knowing exactly what he does, but I'm sure Fulkrug isn't far different to what we would expect from Antonio. And then you'd see the wingers pushed up high, the guy in the middle, and then you still see three back at all times. So this is a very, very, very David Moyes kind of play style where we'll be sitting deep because they've got so many people pushed forwards. Let me get a ball. Paquetá has got the ball in about this situation, and he's looking for one pass only. Sam, can you guess where that pass is going?
Kudus.
No. Souček. He's going straight for that guy. And you know why he's doing that? Because he's going to go to this guy, he's going to hit the ball, and Antonio's going to run in behind, and then it's going to be one of them situations. That is box office David Moyes. And unfortunately, it works. And that is exactly how they got their penalty against Villa. Exactly how they did it. Because it's minimal passes, you get the ball up front as fast as possible, and it just works. It just works. So they will revert back to this style of play if the Lopetegui way didn't work properly. Okay, let's talk about Lopetegui's way of playing now, because I can't talk about hoofball for 20 minutes. All right, so let me get these guys going. So move that forwards a bit. So Lopetegui likes to play a sort of a 4-3-3 in the sense. So if you've got the ball as 4-3-3, if you're defending, one of your centre backs will drop into one of your midfielders will drop into the centre back. You'll all drop deep and you do this, but Dan's probably going to tell you about that anyway. So let's put everyone in their position. I just move everyone out a little bit, make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. Cool. So Lopetegui is a manager that likes to play in the strongest shape in the world, which are triangles. He wants to have three very dominant triangles here. So let me draw them out for you. So the first one is... I wish you could just, on this app, I wish you could just drag it out like you can on like Word or something.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having to do it like this. But you guys can get the gist already though, I'm sure. There we go.
Oh, look at those triangles.
Oh yeah, that is quality viewing right here. We've lost a viewer after that, I can't lie. But he wants triangles, and he wants the striker to be a very strong runner, basically. So Lopetegui wants it to be so you've got as many passing options as possible. So you'll see this triangle here. So these guys will be doing a lot of recycling. And then if the ball comes into a different triangle, there will be more recycling here. They only won't pass within this triangle if we load up man-to-man with these guys. But if we do that, they've still got options elsewhere because we're not going to commit more than one or two people up here to, I guess, fight against a three-man triangle at the back. So they do this to try and work the opposition to lose their shape. And that's Lopetegui's main way of attacking. He wants to frustrate the opponent, make them lose their shape, and then you can hit them on the break. So a typical attack for a Lopetegui team would be passing it around. That's all calm. You've seen a nice little pass into Paquetá here. Here, very open with allowing his creative players to flourish, to drive with the ball. And obviously, you'll see him going down the wing with a nice little cross into the box, but that'll be more of what David Moyes wanted. But what you can expect is for Bowen to pick up the ball from this triangle, to drive at someone like Mitchell, take a nice touch inside, but Fulkrug will make like a diagonal run this way. So sort of a reverse pass in that sense. So the ball could go here. You commit your players this way, and that leaves a tiny little half space down here for Bowen to then run into, get the ball and take a first time shot. They're very into this 1-2, take a shot, 1-2, take a shot. You can see it because that's exactly how he scored loads of goals at Wolves. He had, it was, who's the guy that went to Man City? He sort of orchestrated loads of that Wolves team a few years ago.
Gomez.
No, is it? I thought it was Nunes or Nunes.
Nuno Gomez. Oh, no,
Yes.
It might be Nunez. Was it? I can't remember.
I don't know. He's Portuguese.
He's Brazilian. He came through Flamengo's academy.
Is he? I thought it was Portuguese.
I'm pretty sure. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, it's him.
The Man City guy.
Yeah, I'm sure it's. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, I'm sure it's.
Matthias Nunes.
Oh, it's Nunez.
He is.
Oh no, I'm thinking of someone else. There. No, ignore me. I'm thinking someone else.
Okay, we're both right. He's Brazilian Portuguese.
All right, fair. I'm thinking of someone else. I'm thinking of Gomez, I think.
Mm-hmm. But this striker, there's a reason why he's not in any of these triangles. If anything, with how Lopetegui plays, he might as well not even be in the team whatsoever. And I tell you, for this reason, wherever the ball is, he goes elsewhere. It sounds stupid, but there's method to the madness here. So if the ball is over here with Rodriguez, he will pull out over here in this situation. You might look at it and go, well, why has he done that? Lopetegui loves one thing, and one thing only: diagonal runs. Splitting the lines, running through different players' zones to make it as hard as possible for centre-backs to pick him up. And if you're here, you can put a ball into this area, and if you're running diagonally, it'll be very hard for someone like Anderson to block that run, but it also makes it even harder for Mark to try and judge it, to try and get in his way and still not cause a foul. It's a bit strange. It's very strange, but because of this method of play, so obviously there's only one game that's been played so far this season. In that game, West Ham completed 20 long passes. That is only a 48% completion rate. So they must have tried about 40, 41, 42 long passes. And quite amazingly, 70% of these long passes were all aimed at the striker, whether that's Antonio or Fulkrug. So they're very forward thinking. They're very route one. They will happily mess around with the ball a little bit in their triangles. And the second they see a nice run, they whip that ball in. 5 crosses in that one game as well. 20% completion. That means they attempted 25 within this one game. So there was a lot of aerial clearances for Aston Villa. Obviously, 4 big chances created from these long ball situations. Missed 3, but obviously they scored the 1. But they still got 14 shots off in this game, and like I said, they wanted to leave Kudus and Bowen to have a lot of attacking freedom, and basically, both of them completed 4 dribbles in that game. So they're very forward thinking. They like to attack. They like to attack quickly, and the second you see the long ball go, you've got to be aerially present, because let's say if we're in the lead in this game, they have the ability to have Fulkrug and Antonio and Souček all on the pitch at once with Kudus and Bowen putting crosses into the box. That is going to be a long day for centre-backs, and that's probably why I leaned a little bit more towards Riyadh in this game for us. And with how they like to do their 1-2 situations, where the forward will drop in, pass it to the midfielder, and then the midfielder runs on into the space created by the striker coming deep, I feel like that will be a big issue for us and our team, seeing how trigger-happy our centre-backs are at jumping out of the defensive line for another player to run in behind of that. We saw Richards do it and get caught out 3 times against Sharda. We saw Anderson do it twice, get caught out by Wissa both times, and we even saw Mark get caught out once as well. Granted, Mark probably should have closed down Mbeumo when the ball was still running into the box. He should have got tighter, but it's still a very simple 1-2 move which Lopetegui likes to implement that I think could really damage Crystal Palace in this game.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. And I think I noticed, especially more in the second half, their left-hand side seemed very productive, especially with Kudus. Kudus was a menace for like about 20, 25 minutes.
Of course. He is an incredible footballer, and probably some West Ham fans are still a little bit shocked that he actually signed for West Ham.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a very good acquisition. Where'd you go?
I sneezed so hard that my camera broke.
Fair. Let me just go get my charger. It's right there, and I'll be one second.
Let me go through some comments while Dan gets his charger. Martin jumps in and said, did someone say Villa? One Villa. Forfeit. You got to do it. Aston Martin, Dream Car, Lerma and Munoz, best players at the Copa, need to play together for us. Yep, they got a good link up, good chemistry. Big up Brush, smash the lights.
Big up Brush.
Yeah, Nunez, down with that Nicky Ball knowledge.
Oh, that's a bar. I was thinking of Joao Gomez. That's what I was thinking of.
Dan, there's no coming back from that one.
Gomez, Nunez, like Ferreira.
Santi's loving it. Been a minute since I got the Mandem live. Make sure to smash the like, folks. Big up everyone. 2-0 win from Nick Fadley. Big up yourself. Kudus was brilliant. Have to watch him carefully.
Definitely. No 1v1s.
The forfeit fraud.
Forfeit fraud.
I like that one. That's a nice saying.
Come on, Martin. Do your forfeit.
So yeah, any questions on how they attack, mate, or not really?
No, I think to be honest, I feel like Lopetegui's he was the same at Wolves as well. Like I don't think there was huge amounts, and I thought like those I'll talk about it in a minute, but like I think those triangles will be exploitable. On a transition, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, I mean, how would you deal with Kudus, do you think?
I mean, how do you deal with any tricky winger in the Premier League? How do people deal with Elise? How do people deal with Eze? You double up on them. You have to. Because
I agree.
Munoz is good, but you can't trust him to go 1v1 with him all game. It just doesn't work like that. Like sometimes you have to just be a little bit forceful and just like we've seen it many times with how we defend against Haaland. We get 2 centre-backs on Haaland and just sandwich him out so he can't run through. And Kudus is sort of a similar situation. He's fast, he's got a lot of running power in his legs, so he can run through people. So, if anything, you probably want Lerma and Munoz, both of those guys, going over to that side. And that's probably another reason why I'd want to have Riyadh, because he is a bit stronger. I don't know if he's stronger than Richards, but he's definitely faster than Richards. And also, Riyadh is left-footed, so he'll be able to defend that inside, like what you said, why Richards is better on the left. Maybe that could be a similar reason why Riyadh's good on the right. You never know.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you have any screenshots, or should I go on to the defense?
No, just go straight onto the defense.
All right, here we go.
I'd like to submit a complaint to HR before we start. It's there we land. It's not here we go. We don't do here we goes here.
There we
land.
I don't. You know what? I might block Romano on Twitter for his ridiculous shenanigans.
I already have.
who is the what is that? Why isn't it? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm not clicking it. All right, fair. Who's the there we lamb guy? Like I keep hearing this, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's a kid that does basically the same thing that Fabrizio does.
Right.
But he did his own little catchphrases. There we land. But it's quite funny because this kid is getting his information before Fabrizio.
Really?
Yeah. And he's actually a little bit more reliable than Fab as well.
That's crazy. To be honest, he probably just browses Twitter like Fabrizio does. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So
we're all ITKs at heart.
So how do West Ham defend? Well, I think they've still got elements of Moise in their lines. Combined with their hoofball, you can kind of imagine what style they play. Now, when they played West Ham, when they played Aston Villa, they conceded 2 XG. So that is quite a lot, really. It's quite a lot. There was Aston Villa didn't get a penalty. And from what I could see, all of Villa's chances, there wasn't like someone had a shot and then it got deflected and someone else had a shot. Like they were all individual chances. So West Ham were quite leaky. Now, I think this is something that was the problem for them under Moyes, is that they were very, very good when they were, say, winning by a goal. But if the scoreline was a draw or they were losing, they crumbled. So basically, they were just very, very good at defending leads if they got a goal. But when they need to go for a goal, that's when maybe things get a bit more undone. So obviously, I'll start with kind of like how we play, I guess, because I imagine that they'll adapt somewhat to how, like, to us, you know, because Villa attack very differently to how we attack. So because we have effectively 5 front players with our wing backs, I imagine what will happen is that one of the midfielders, so whether that's Rodriguez or whether it won't be Paquetá, it'll either be Rodriguez or it'll be Souček, assuming that they play, will drop to kind of go man to man, I would imagine, with these players kind of here. And again, kind of like what a lot of teams do, the striker and another player don't really tend to do that much defending in my experience. So, for example, Fulkrug, I imagine, will be here as a case of, you know, if we've got the ball here, it'll be a case of trying to shut these passing options down. But then equally, if we're over here, if they win the ball, then he's an available outlet. Mm-hmm. Kudus will drop a little bit, but I do think they do like to leave one of these wingers just up a little bit, again, for the same reason. If they win the ball, then they do this. But what I'm hoping is we don't get them in this kind of position. We kind of get them in a transition, because when Villa got them in transitions the other day, they tore them apart. And what I mean by this, I'm going to go back to kind of what JC was saying, was like they make these little triangles. One of the midfielders will drop in there, and so on and so forth. Now, for us to basically disrupt that, you know, we're able to disrupt that. All we got to do is basically do what Villa did: chuck players on the defensive midfielder. You know, as long as you're pushing these midfielders up, the fullbacks are following. Then we can win the ball very high. And Villa did this a couple of times. And if you're able to generate turnovers in this kind of area, so like we nick the ball off the defensive midfielder, and we've got potentially a wing back running, another wing back running, striker ahead, and then the other attacking midfielder, and these two are close together. That spells bad trouble for West Ham. And I think the key to this will be generating those transitions in these kind of areas and catching them when they're not in a low block. Because when they are in a low block, they will be difficult to break down. Villa did manage to do it by what they did was they overloaded one side of the pitch. So let's just kind of do that. So what I mean by that, if people don't know what that means, it just means where you have more players than the opponent on that side of the pitch. And it could be a defensive overload. It could be an attacking overload. In this case, let's say we've got the attacking overload. So Duran was the one who scored. And effectively what you got here is you got two here and then two here on the fullback. And effectively what they did was the centre, whoever it was here, passed it out wide. The wide player then passed it into this half space. This drew this player here and then brings a gap for that striker to run into, pass the striker, and then it was a goal. And that's basically how they managed to rip them apart in a low block. But like I said, I think the best thing to do would be to try and turn the ball over in these kind of areas and don't let them kind of attack us in that sense. Now, another thing that is worth noting is that they don't really they themselves don't really press the ball. So our centre backs are going to have a lot of time on the ball, unless I guess they feel like they're able to press them. They might, but I don't think they will. So that means that our centre backs are all going to have a lot of time on the ball. So with that in mind, let's say Anderson gets the ball here. I think it will be a good idea to perhaps maybe use our free. So again, we're at this time of the pitch, they're probably going to have a back four rather than a back five because they're still in that kind of mid block and so on and so forth. They might not, but probably not. Because we have these free attacking players, like every team, that's going to make the defense go a little bit more narrow. It's going to provide hopefully provide spaces for our wing backs. And Anderson, as we know, is very good at pinging these balls. So he can ping one there, and then hopefully that means that we'll be running, pinging balls left, right, and centre. Some would say slapping them left, right, and centre.
Easy.
And and then that gives us a lot of space to run into. And then I think their centre backs aren't exactly, comfortable with dealing with these kind of situations because they're the kind of team that prefers to sit deeper and counter attack. So they're not going to want to be running back to their own goal.
Mm-hmm. I think actually, sorry to butt in, but if they do start Todibo, this will be his first start in the league, obviously. But I do think that he did struggle with the physicality of Duran. And I don't think that Duran is the strongest centre forward in the world. But then if you pair Duran up to Mateta, I think that's a slightly different league when it comes to strength. So do you think that Mateta could get a little bit of love out of, going one-on-one defending with him? Because I off the top of my head, I don't actually think he's that tall either. I think he's 6 foot, but he's not. One sec. Todibo.
Well, he played on that right centre back, and
he's 6'2", but I think Mateta's like 6'4" though. No.
Yeah, 6'2" is pretty standard for a Premier League footballer, I think. But I think assuming Mateta's back to, obviously last week he looked a bit leggy, but hopefully if he's back to where he is, absolutely. And again, I think Like, if you're looking at that front five, say, like if they're still in that kind of mid block, there's 4v5 there. So at some point, somewhere, there can be an overload or a 2v1, as you were. Like, if Anderson manages to ping that ball to say Eze, that's pulling Todibo out there. Or even if it's, say, a quick pass to Mateta, and he does struggle with his physicality, then that's a problem for him. And then also that means that Mateta, therefore, would there maybe be a good target sort of man to play those passes off. So let's say Lerma's passed the ball, pass a nice through, like a nice pass through the lines there. All he's got to do is touch it. Todibo's probably not going to be getting in front of him. So then that lays off to, say, Eze. And then, over here now you've got the 2v1 or the overload. So, yeah, so certainly that is something that we could hope to look at. Going back to what I was saying about transitions is, as JC said, the fullbacks do push quite high.
I think that's a different case with Aaron, though, because Sufal would go up and not get back, but I don't think that would be the same thing for Aaron, though.
All right. Well, either way, Emerson is. Assuming Emerson plays, he'll be high up. If Kufal plays, and he'll be high up as well. And I think, and obviously you can see already like what that could bring. Let's say we win the ball. I don't know, like here, for example, like the ball's coming to midfield here, and we've won the ball in this kind of position. You've got all of this space and all of this space to then again attack. And that's it, really. I don't think they do anything particularly crazy out of. 1 sec. Oh, whoops! I clicked the weird one. I clicked the weird one.
I don't like it.
They don't do anything particularly weird in defence. They do things that maybe you could argue we would have seen under Moyes. They are good in a low block. I think the reason why Villa managed to generate so much XG was because they generate transitions against them. And I think when they are caught in that transition, I don't think they recover very well. And I think the way that they build up is very exploitable for a press like we press, like just an intelligent press that kind of catches them off guard.
Yeah.
I think when you've got players like Eze and Mateta and Kamada pressing that back line, if they're not going to be physical enough, then that's obviously going to work to our advantage, and we can pull players out of position. We can generate 2v1s in any of those places, and if we're generating 2v1s on the edge of the box, then that's just going to generate chances regardless. But yeah, was there any other questions you had on this?
No, not really. I think that a good way to attack them is obviously to dribble at them as well. But that has to be down that left-hand side, because we know, as well as anyone in the world, you can't go 1v1 against Aaron. You can't.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
This is a big game for Kamada.
Yeah, definitely. And I would imagine, because sometimes we see both attack him is go to one side to try and generate that overload that Glasner wants. Mm-hmm. I wonder if maybe we'll see Eze maybe kind of go to like a 10, and then Kamada pulls out wide a little bit more, perhaps.
I mean, obviously it's not on the same thing at all, but you saw what happened with Real Madrid the other day. You had Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Mbappe all on that left wing. I mean,
to be fair, I would compare them to Mateta, Eze, and Kamada.
I mean, if you had Elise there, I'd say 100%. But but with Kamada, I'd say it's more MSN. But I'm getting away.
MSN, yeah. I mean, yeah, but I think that's it though. Like managers are looking to generate overloads in various situations, whether that's an attacking sense or a defensive sense. And I think the way we do that is either by shifting the attacking mids over to one side, or as we've seen, that right centre back then moves up as well, or like a pinged pass out to the left or something like that. That's how we do it, and I do think if we catch them outside of a low block, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I think before score predictions, let's just go through some final comments.
I just think one step before you do that, I just thought it was ironic. I literally clicked onto Twitter. Remember how I was talking about Nunes going to Man City? So Man City fan posted this: McAtee, Gundogan, Nunes.
Does he? Fair enough. McAtee's going to be a good player.
He was my shout for our Elise replacement.
I think he's a good player. He did all right with a very bad Sheffield United team.
Yeah,
and I think he definitely could do it at another Premier League club.
100%.
Nick said 2-1, not 2-0. What for this game? Does TDK still exist? Used to use lots of cassettes. I don't think they do exist anymore.
I will Google it.
The Mexican streets are saying Edson Alvarez might be back for this game, by the way. Oh, yeah, JC said that earlier. To be fair, we still think that Rodriguez will start. Anyway.
Yeah, they're in business still.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Are they owned by someone else?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Brozier to Ipswich, apparently. I don't mind that. I've never really been a Brozier fan.
Apparently, that's got a 30 million obligation to buy, not even an option, an obligation.
Really?
Yeah, so if they get relegated, that is a madness. There's got to be a relegation clause in there. They can't pay it if they get relegated.
Yeah, I was going to say there must be clauses in there because then it might as well just be a transfer.
Then again, though, if he's rubbish and they stay up, then they're just sort of in a bad situation.
Well, I'm sure, like, there's been some like weird clauses like in the past where teams have had like an obligation to buy or something like that, but then like because of like some really weird like small print, like it doesn't happen. Like I think there was a really good one with Leeds, where Leeds signed a player for a lot of money no, it wasn't an obligation to buy. They signed a player for a lot of money, and a second instalment had to be paid when something happened by a certain date. But because it was a year of COVID and all the games got pushed back to like beyond the date, then basically they didn't receive money or didn't pay money or something like that. But yeah, it was a bit.
I think we had one with one of our players a few years ago, wasn't it? I think it was Lokonga, wasn't it? He couldn't get a certain amount of appearances, or we had to pay them an extra bit of money. So Vieira just never played him.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Hope West Ham defend like they did against Villa, gave away a lot of chances. Yeah, let's hope so. As I said, I think as long as we don't concede and then they sit back on it and then hit us on the break, I think we'll be okay. I think if we score one, I think we'll score more than one, to be honest. If we score first, we'll score more than one, I think. Villa actually so unlucky with the 3 big chances missed. Yeah, definitely. They were very good. Big up, Richo. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, Nick, watch match of the day. Villa looked very good. All our teams are stoic and predictable. If we can predict our strat, so can the opposition. To be fair, like it's only a selection of what we can do, and I think Glaston is also the kind of person who will adapt a little bit to other teams. Also, as well, I think there's an element of a lot of teams just play the way that they play, and they worry about the opposition second. To be honest, because I mean, how are you going to coach players? Different ways of playing like every week, I think. Yeah, but then I think as well, like it's kind of like I hate comparing it to chess, but I'm going to compare it to chess. It's like if you make a move, right, and then you're going to take one of two pieces, but the opposition basically then has to choose which one you take. It's kind of like that. You know, you present them with something that, you know, it's either going to be this way or that way, and then they're going to have to choose which one is least damaging for them. That's how I kind of look at it, if that makes sense. That deal was bad. If they stay out, then the bonus money goes to sign him. Oh, well, Ipswich, yeah. I never thought Brozier was that good, but, you know, is what it is. Right. Time for some score predictions.
Put in the chat as well what your predictions are.
Who went first last time?
You, I think.
Okay, you can go first.
I'm in between two scores. I'm either going to say the same thing as I did against Brentford, or I'm going to go 2-2. I'm not sure. Do we win it or do we draw it? I don't know. I'm going to say I think we draw 2-2.
You know what? I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say 2-0 Palace because I think we'll score first. I think they'll be a bit all over the place defensively, and I think we'll catch them on the transition, and we'll make it 2, and then we'll just kind of see out the rest of the game.
Fairs.
In the comments, yeah, Kevin agrees with JC. Rich disagrees with me about Brozier though, and Rich thinks we'll win 2-1. I hope so. I think as well, like a win would really I think people are unhappy at the moment because of the transfer window. I think getting 3 points would really kind of be like, you know, we're here kind of thing, and ease some of those pains.
Don't get me wrong, I'm predicting a draw, but I'd love a win. I'd happily lose on our predictions league if we have a good season. I'll happily lose.
Yeah, me too. I always say that. Yeah, it's like when you predict against a team that you know you're not going to get any points, but you're like, well, obviously I want to win, but I also want points in the FPL or in the prediction league.
Yeah, but I will never predict a Brighton win.
Well, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's not happening. Even though I know they're gonna win. I'm not doing that. I'm predicting a draw. I'm predicting a draw just in case.
Santi's going 1-1. Think it'd be a cagey affair. Yeah, I think players will still be on that kind of, you know, bit ropey stage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, without further ado, JC, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think preview is on the Friday. Tomorrow and Thursday, I don't believe anything's happening, but we might put out some shorts to keep the content ticking over. But other than that, I don't think there is anything else, mate. The only thing is that next week, Monday, is the last video of Transfer Weekly. So I'm going to try and get everyone from Eagle Ad Football involved in this one. And then after that, it's the deadline day stream because we've only got 2 weeks left.
Nice. That sounds good. We've got lots of stuff coming up then. Cool. Well, what we can say then is up the Palace.
Eagles!
Eagles!